Instead of making a Game of the Year video, I'm just talking about my personal highlights of 2022. So bear with me. This year was pretty okay for gaming. You know, there was Elden Ring, and Elden Ring, also Elden Ring, and of course Elden Ring. But I'm not going to sit here for 10 minutes talking about a game you've probably already heard enough about. So I'll keep it short. 45 seconds on the clock. I actually didn't even beat Elden Ring. I started the game and I enjoyed it until everything in my life was Elden Ring. My roommates were playing Elden Ring, all my podcasts were about Elden Ring, even my family talked about Elden Ring. It was everywhere, and I got pretty burnt out just by hearing about it constantly and seeing it so much. I'm sure I'll go back to it in a year or two and thoroughly enjoy it. But 2022 was not the year for Elden Ring and I to fall in love. And that's okay. What I did fall in love with this year was Castlevania. I beat 4 Castlevania games this year. I had never played a Castlevania game to completion, and this year I beat 4 of them. Symphony of the Night, Castlevania 3, Castlevania Bloodlines, and Circle of the Moon. I was intimidated by Castlevania for years because there are at least like 6,000 games in the franchise and they always seem so incredibly difficult. But boy, was I wrong about the difficulty, since Symphony of the Night was a cakewalk. Like, really one of the easiest Metroidvanias I've ever played. Too bad this was just limited to Symphony of the Night, because Circle of the Moon was the hardest game I played this year. Holy nuts. I also watched the Castlevania Netflix show, and that was like really rad and fun and intense and bloody. I liked Season 3 the most, which is apparently everyone's least favorite season, so I have confirmed bad taste. Speaking of having bad taste, my friend called me out on having bad taste because I finished watching Neon Genesis Evangelion this year, and I didn't love it as much as he did. But, you know, I like the 4 million movies that followed the anime series. Like, the show itself, which just wasn't paced well enough for me personally. Like, I like the beginning, and I like the ending, but the middle was just... Now, the movie, The End of Evangelion, which takes place right after the anime series, is just phenomenal, and probably one of my favorite animated movies ever, so it's really good. And despite my opinion on the show, I can at least now say I've seen all of Evangelion, which many people call peak anime, but do you know what actual peak anime is? Kaguya-Sama Love is War is peak anime. Love is War is a high school romantic comedy that received its 3rd season in 2022. When I was first told to watch this in 2020, yeah, it was 2020, I was just like, oh god, an anime romantic comedy, probably unnecessary boobage from minors and so many other anime quirks I really don't like. And the 1st season does have a lot of those elements that I don't like. But it's written sharply and humorously like no other anime rom-com is. The 3rd season was truly one of the greatest seasons of television I have ever seen, honestly. It was hilarious, it was tense, so emotional, and just sensational. I've also been watching the dub of this, almost solely for Ian Sinclair, who's known as the voice of Berkut from Fire Emblem Echoes.
Lies! 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 Lies!
In Love is War, he is the voice of the narrator, and he has the absolute best moments.
It's not like Love is War and whoever gives their heart first is somehow conquered.
Hey, you get it? This is the title and the point of the whole story!
But if you don't tell her, it'll go unresolved forever.
Spoken like someone who's kept her feelings locked up for the past 27 episodes!
Also, Dress Up Darling was cute. I like that from what I saw. I didn't finish it, but I liked it. Live a live, live alive, live, 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 live. This 1994 Japanese exclusive got remade this year, and holy moly, it's incredible. A JRPG where the player follows 7 different heroes. It's so much better than Octopath, trust me. The best part about this game is the game design. It's incredible. There are many times the player comes across a situation in the story and thinks, well, what if I did this instead of what the game is telling me to do? And it progresses the story down a slightly different route. And that's really cool. I know that's relatively common in this day and age, but this was originally in 1994. 1994. I did not see Mass Effect come out in 1994. This is great. On top of that, each character story utilizes different game design decisions, making them feel fresh and interesting throughout the entire game. Although because of this, the game doesn't really feel like a true JRPG by the traditional term. It's tough to even call this an RPG. Like, I guess the final few hours are, but it's technically an RPG, but it's weird. It's a weird genre. I don't know. I don't make video games, but I firmly believe anyone wanting to study game design should play this game because it does so many things no other RPGs would ever dare to do. Or if they do, they don't do it as well. Octopath Traveler. Game design is unbelievably strong with this title. The only thing stronger is the soundtrack. Oh, hands down my favorite game soundtrack of the year! The composer for the original version of the game is Yoko Shimomura, and I think it's her best work ever, which is big words considering she's done the music for Street Fighter 2, the Mario and Luigi games, and especially Kingdom Hearts. But it's her best work in my opinion. It's remarkable. Live Alive wins Soundtrack of the Year for me. But what wins Game of the Year? You see, I played 47 different games this year, and the one that came out on top has to be Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm slapping 60 seconds on the clock because I know I could go on for hours about this game. If you told me 10 years ago when I played Xenoblade Chronicles 1 that it would become a trilogy, I would break down crying because that sounds incredible. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is an outstanding RPG. The first 5 chapters are unbelievable. Each chapter raises the stakes, expands the world, and doubles down on unforgettable moments. Chapter 5's finale is still flat out one of the greatest moments in all of RPG history. No, not even RPG history, in gaming history. It delivered a remarkable narrative, one that I never forget. It touches on themes I never thought Xenoblade would. Unfortunately, the game does lose its luster after this Chapter 5 moment, but it still sticks its landing with, hands down, the best ending in the trilogy. I'm still hurting from it. Also, the gameplay rocks and the music is pretty damn good. What an emotional game. The only other media that got me that emotional this year was Everything Everywhere All at Once. A movie that I literally cannot describe if you haven't seen it. Just watch it. It's beyond excellent. It's my favorite movie of the year. Out of the 100 plus movies I watched in 2022, these were the standout films. Tar was a crushing movie that told a story about a musician falling from grace. Excellent execution from writing and acting. The innocent and brutal slasher movie Pearl captured suspense in a way I haven't felt in a horror movie in a long while. RRR, the Netflix Indian hit, was the best comedy of the year, and no one can tell me otherwise. Please watch it. The Worst Person in the World, a romantic drama, comedy, made me feel like absolute trash. 10 out of 10, I would recommend this, I love it so much, it's painful. The Northman was a quirky 2-hour-long epic. The Banshees of Inisherin is a movie about a friend giving the other friend the finger. Insane movie. In the latest entry in the Predator series, Prey is perhaps one of the most well-paced action movies I've seen since Mad Max Fury Road. If an action movie has poor pacing, then it's all over. But thankfully, Prey is leagues above those films. Movies, games, and anime weren't the only mediums I experienced in 2022. I read book. Okay, I read a few books, but most were just trashy romance novels. But Reggie's book, Disrupting the Game, was pretty cool, and It was actually a really funny title after watching Glass Onion.
Disruptors. All of us.
It was nice to hear Reggie's story throughout the many businesses he worked for. That's my one book a year right there. Last year I read the Majora's Mask boss fight book, and next year I'll read, I don't know, the dictionary or something. I caught up on some older games this year too. I finally got back to my Horizon Zero Dawn file I started in 2017. That game is still one of the best pre-Breath of the Wild open world experiences, and I'm excited to eventually try out the sequel. Hopefully it doesn't take me 5 years to get to. My Twitch mod bought me Rhythm Heaven Megamix because he's such a kind bean. I sucked at it hard, but I had a great time with it. The music is excellent. Now, quick warning, I hate that I'm bringing up a gacha, it's like me saying, hey, this cocaine actually slaps, you should try it. I've been playing NieR Reincarnation since day one in July 2021, but it wasn't until this year that they added a new story, and the story is one of the best I've experienced on mobile. No, it is the best story that I've experienced in a mobile game. No other mobile game has come close, and it sucks that this game is a gacha because the story is so good. Oh. Maybe I have some bias, and maybe I only love it because NieR has become one of my favorite franchises in the past 5 years. NieR Replicant is still one of the best stories, if not the best story I have ever experienced in any medium. Pikmin 2 Kaizo is literally the scariest game I've played in years. I am not exaggerating. Holy sh**. My favorite game of the year that didn't release this year is 1,000,000% without a doubt Chulip. The most wild game I have ever played. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but Chulip is all about this boy going around town trying to kiss 50 people to grow a stronger heart so that he can write his crush a love letter to capture her heart. It's nuts. I highly recommend playing it without any more context than that, or watching it. Actually watching it, just watching it might be better, honestly. But I love it. It awoke something inside of me. Some of my favorite movies I watched this year weren't even from this year. Drive My Car is a Japanese movie that was nominated at the Oscars last year and got majorly snubbed, despite being probably the best film there. It's 3 hours of pure and raw human interaction. It's a long one, it's a heavy one, but I don't regret a single second. I don't think I'll ever watch it again though. I'm sad. The complete opposite of that is Down with Love, a romantic comedy starring Obi-Wan Kenobi and Bridget Jones that is incredibly tongue-in-cheek and threw me for one of the biggest goddamn loops no romance movie has ever done before. I super recommend this movie if you like romantic comedies with actual strong leading women. What the heck is this movie? It's so insane. I said insane a lot, I'm sorry. What the heck is the topic of our final category here? The show Severance on Apple TV. What the heck is this show? 9 episodes, 50 minutes each, detailing how deep capitalism's rot can go. I long for death. Andor, the Star Wars Rogue One prequel. What the heck? This is the best Star Wars has been in 42 years? I try to not talk about my Star Wars opinions on the internet ever since The Last Jedi in 2017 because, I liked that movie. But I can't keep my mouth shut about this show. It's the best show of the year, next to Love is War, of course. I am in love with Splatoon 3. What the heck? I was huge on Splatoon 1. Out of my friend group, I was one of the few who was genuinely hyped for it in 2014 and 2015. I played the first entry a lot. The second came around in 2017, and it just didn't click with me. And because Splatoon 2 didn't click with me, I was certain Splatoon 3 wouldn't. But here we are, 110 hours into the game, and I'm still playing Splatoon 3. Whew. And who would have thought that the best tactical RPG in years would release under the stupidest name? Triangle Strategy. What the heck is that name? My second favorite game of the year. I already made a whole review on it, but just play it. Just play it. If you love tactics games, you are doing yourself a disservice by not playing it. Also, holy heck, HD 2D games are the prettiest games ever made? Like, my mouth was agape the entire time I played Triangle Strategy and Live Alive. Holy, wow, damn. Alright, well that wraps up 2022. I'll see you next year where Pikmin 4 is my game of the year. Last minute addition, Bug Fables is better than Thousand Year Door, but not as good as Origami King. I'm out.